Have you ever wondered what would happen if the gods walked among us? What if they weren't human at all, but animals? In the golden age of ancient Egypt, they did. This isn't just a story of pharaohs and pyramids. It's a tale of divine creatures, holy reverence, and a rebellion that shook an empire to its core. Welcome to the Divine Uprising, a tale of the sacred Apis bull. Our story begins not in a grand palace, but in the sprawling, sun-drenched fields along the Nile. Here, among herds of ordinary cattle, a sacred sign was sought. Priests, guided by ancient prophecies, searched for a very special calf. He had to be black, with a white diamond on his forehead, the mark of a crescent moon on his side, and the image of a scarab beetle under his tongue. When they found him, a cry of celebration echoed across the land. This was no mere animal. This was the living incarnation of the great god Ptah, the creator of the universe. He was the new Apis bull. The young bull was taken from his mother and brought to the magnificent city of Memphis. His journey was a grand procession, with people lining the roads, throwing flowers, and chanting prayers. He was entering his new home, the Temple of Ptah, a place of unimaginable splendor. Here, he wouldn't just be an animal, he would be a king, an oracle, a direct link between humanity and the divine. The finest linens would be his bedding, the purest water his drink. He was pampered, worshipped, and adorned with gold and precious jewels. His every move was interpreted as a divine message. If he accepted food from a visitor's hand, it was a sign of good fortune. If he refused, it was a dire warning. The fate of Egypt, from the success of a harvest to the outcome of a war, could be read in the simple gestures of this sacred bull. For the people, he was stability. He was hope. He was Egypt itself. For generations, this sacred tradition continued, a cornerstone of Egyptian faith. The Apis bull lived a life of luxury for about 25 years. Upon his death, the entire nation would plunge into mourning as if a pharaoh had passed. He was then mummified with the utmost care, a process as elaborate as any human king's, and laid to rest in a massive granite sarcophagus within the Serapeum of Saqqara, a vast underground necropolis. Then the search for his successor would begin anew, and the cycle of life, death, and rebirth would continue. The rhythm of the Apis bull was the rhythm of Egypt. But this sacred rhythm was about to be broken. An outside force, a powerful and ambitious empire, was rising in the east, Persia, and their king, Cambyses II, had his eyes set on the fertile lands of the Nile. He did not understand the gods of Egypt, and he certainly didn't share their reverence for a bull. In 525 BC, the Persian army marched on Egypt. The clash of empires was brutal. At the Battle of Pelusium, the Persians used a shocking and brilliant tactic. Knowing the Egyptians' deep reverence for animals, particularly cats sacred to the goddess Bastet, they placed these and other sacred creatures at the front lines of their army. The Egyptian soldiers, faced with the horror of harming the very animals they worshipped, were paralyzed. Their hesitation cost them everything. Egypt fell. The Persian king Cambyses strode into Memphis not as a liberator, but as a conqueror. He saw the temples not as holy places, but as treasuries to be plundered. He saw the priests not as holy men, but as political rivals. And he saw the Apis bull not as a god, but as a symbol of the culture he now dominated, a symbol he was determined to break. The city of Memphis was tense. The conquerors patrolled the streets, their foreign tongue a constant reminder of Egypt's defeat. But inside the temple of Ptah, the priests tried to maintain a sense of normalcy. They continued their sacred duties, tending to the Apis bull, who remained calm and majestic, unaware of the political storm raging outside his gilded enclosure. For the Egyptian people, the bull was now more important than ever. He was their last connection to the old ways, a living beacon of their identity in a world turned upside down. They prayed to him for deliverance, for a sign that their gods had not abandoned them. But Cambyses was growing impatient with this stubborn faith. He heard the whispers of the people. He saw the devotion in their eyes, and he decided to make a public statement, one that would extinguish their hope for good. One fateful day, Cambyses and his soldiers stormed into the sacred temple. The priests protested, trying to shield their god, but they were cast aside. The Persian king stood before the magnificent Apis bull, a creature adorned in gold, worshipped by millions. The historical accounts of what happened next are dramatic. According to the Greek historian Herodotus, Cambyses, in a fit of rage and mockery, drew his dagger. He sneered at the priests, asking if this was their god, this creature of flesh and blood. He then plunged the dagger into the bull's thigh. A collective gasp of horror rippled through the temple. It was more than an act of violence against an animal. It was a profound act of blasphemy. The divine had been wounded. The living god was bleeding. The injured Apis bull was led away, his divine blood staining the temple floor. The wound festered, and the bull's health began to decline rapidly. The spirit of Memphis seemed to decline with him. The people were in shock, their faith shaken to its core. How could a mortal man strike down a god? The priests did everything they could, performing rituals and chanting prayers for healing, but it was no use. The sacred bull, the incarnation of Ptah, weakened day by day until, finally, he died from his infected wound. A deathly silence fell over Egypt. This was not the honored death of an old Apis, followed by elaborate ceremony. This was a murder. It was a desecration. It was the ultimate insult. The very soul of their nation had been violated. The death of the Apis bull was the spark that ignited the flames of rebellion. The shock and horror turned into a burning rage. This was not just a political occupation anymore. It was a holy war. Uprisings erupted across the land. Ordinary farmers, artisans, and scribes took up whatever weapons they could find. They were no longer fighting for a pharaoh, but for their gods, for their culture, for the sacred order that Cambyses had so violently shattered. The images of other sacred animals, like the revered cats and ibises, became symbols of this divine uprising. The rebellion was fierce and desperate. a testament to the power of faith. Though the Egyptians were ultimately suppressed by the might of the Persian military, the story of Cambyses and the Apis bull was never forgotten. It became a cautionary tale, passed down through generations, a symbol of tyranny against faith. For the Persians, the rule over Egypt would be forever troubled, marked by constant unrest. Ancient writers claim that Cambyses himself was driven to madness, a divine punishment for his sacrilege. Whether this is true or not, the story serves a powerful purpose. It shows that you can conquer a land, but you cannot conquer a people's soul. The story of the Apis bull is more than just history. It's a profound reminder of the deep, unbreakable bond between humans, nature, and the divine. It teaches us that what one culture holds as sacred, another may dismiss as ordinary, but that belief itself holds a power that can shape empires and inspire rebellion. The gods of Egypt may no longer be worshipped in grand temples, but the spirit of the Apis bull, a spirit of resilience and sacred identity, lives on in this incredible story from the ancient world. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey back in time. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, please hit that like button, subscribe for more tales from history, and let us know in the comments what piece of the ancient world you'd like to explore next. Until then, stay curious.